Let's start this episode by reading one of our viewer emails. Dear Hootie, dear you too, buddy. My PlayStation keeps overheating when I play online multiplayer games in short, non-stop periods of 48 to 64 hours. I keep my console in my TV furniture, sandwiched between some bath towels, since we have a lack of compartments. Is there anything I can do to make my PlayStation run cooler? Sincerely, your biggest fan, Brian. Now, of course, this letter has been slightly modified to protect our viewers' integrity. Brian is really called something else, and his PlayStation doesn't overheat. Actually, he doesn't even own a PlayStation 5. In fact, this whole letter is fabricated. That's some nice cup of tea. Hey, and welcome back to Hootie Style Channel. Now let's just get something out of the way here. Jarvis, turn on the media fans. Yeah, so starting from the absolute basics, any electronic device that produces heat will have a hard time getting rid of that heat if the ambient temperature is high. So if you got your console sandwiched between some bath towels, please remove the bath towels.
You know, I'm a creative genius.
Now, more realistically though, most of us have our media devices in small compartments, like TV furniture and media cabinets with doors. The majority of people do not have an active ventilation solution for those furniture, which practically all professional media cabinets have. So you have something like a PlayStation in a small, tight, closed compartment where the hot exhaust is trapped. And even though the PlayStation 5 has an incredible state-of-the-art cooling solution built in, sooner or later it will have to work very hard to achieve sufficient cooling when it's bathing in hot air. I'm not going to make a big thing about this. The solution is pretty simple. You need to help the hot air escape. And the best way to do that is to pull air out of your cabinet, because pulling air is more efficient than pushing air in this situation. And the reason is simple. Cold air compresses, hot air expands and wants to escape. You all know this already. So by pulling air, we are doing a collab with the laws of physics. So what I've done here is not rocket science in any way. I made holes in the back of the cabinet and attached normal but silent Noctua 12-volt computer fans behind the opening and a dust filter in front of it. It's preferable to have the openings as high as possible in your compartment since hot air rises. Once again, make a collab with physics. Then I connected the fans to a 12-volt adapter and voila! But you do need a way to turn the fans on and off. So we're going to talk about 3 different ways to do this, depending on how badass you want to be. Get yourself one of these. This is a common RF plug-in switch. They are cheap, reliable, and even installable by your grandparents if needed. Normally you get 2 of these plug-in switches and a remote in one package for a cheap price. You use the remote to turn the switch on and off, and you plug your fan adapter into this, and that's it. Fully functional, easy to use, and you just need to remember to turn them on and off. I forget very often, to be honest. Okay, let's step things up. So this is Hootie Style Channel, and we can't just use a normal RF remote and stuff like that. You wouldn't be watching this channel if we did. And you want to be cool. I know you do. And that's why you get yourself a ZWAVE plug-in switch. Now this is one of the older versions from Teldus. It's a bit larger as you can see, but these are available in smaller sizes these days. This has pretty much the same function as the RF switch, except it's lacking a remote and is 2 or 3 times more expensive, and you only get 1 switch normally, and it can probably not be installed by your grandparents. But hey, it's ZWAVE, so you know it's cool. Because you can connect this to your home automation software, and then the world is your oyster. You want to turn on the fans while you're at work? Bam, done. You want the fans to turn on and off to the sound of your music? Bam, done. Why you would want that, I don't know, but it's possible, and that alone makes it cool. Perhaps more useful though, you can connect the switch to your favorite voice assistant and get the fans to start just by giving a voice command or picking up your phone and use an app. love this tea. Okay, once again, this is Hootie Style Channel. We overcomplicate things to make them less complicated. You know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, go ahead and hit that like button. If you have no idea why you're watching this video right now, press that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon. So, we could practically start these fans with a remote, a voice command, or an app. The problem with manual activation though, because that's what it is, we have to manually start the fans. The problem with that is that you have to remember to turn the fans on. After a couple of years of using voice commands, I realized a lot of the times I forgot the fans and just remembered them once the devices started making hairdryer noises. So what if we could automate the fans to start whenever our devices do? Okay, like always, 100 ways to do this. I wanted a solution with stuff I already had at home, and I happen to have another one of these ZWAVE plug-in switches, namely this one. The thing is that some of these switches have a built-in ability to measure power usage. So I plugged the devices into a power strip, and then the power strip into this switch. For today's example, I connected the PlayStation 5 and the docked switch OLED. This is rated to about 2400 watts, by the way, so we're good. I then started analyzing the power usage of the devices in different states. That is, I checked the power usage in standby mode, both absolute idle and when downloading something in standby, and then on and off modes. And these are the numbers I registered. Now, we have all the data we need to create criteria for when we want the fans to turn on automatically. We can do so with a small script in whatever your favorite home automation software is. Pretty much all you need is a short if-then function. The idea is to create two on areas with certain power usage bands. I don't want the fans to go on when things are in standby, downloading things in the background, for example. So we are declaring specific power usage segments for the fans to be on only during the time our devices are actually on. I'm using Domoticz, and in Domoticz you can use Blockly. Not broccoli, Blockly, which is a child-friendly, pretty much code-free visual scripting library. Let me show you how easy it is to use. To start Blockly in Domoticz, just go to Setup, down to More Options, and choose Events. Press the plus sign and choose Blockly to create a new script. Remember, you can use this tutorial in any environment that supports Blockly. It doesn't have to be Domoticz. Now, in Domoticz, you should see a blank page like this after creating that script. Don't mind the items down here. I've just prepared my devices here for this tutorial. You can find all your devices under the Devices menu. So in Blockly, you can practically put together puzzle pieces to form your script. Here in Domoticz, you will find a limited implementation, but it's good enough for short actions. Under Control, you'll find if statements. The upper one here is just a single statement, but we have more criteria, so let's choose the one with the cog. We'll get to the cog in a second, but first, let's make our initial statement. We want the fans to turn on when the PS5 turns on. Remember, it would draw about 80 watts when it was on. But let's give it some headroom, so any power draw over 70 watts and we want the fans to go on. Under Logic, we can find the puzzle pieces we're looking for. Let's grab the first one and attach it to our if statement. Now take the device puzzle piece and attach that. You get the idea. Variable puzzle pieces are also under the Logic section. So if the power draw is higher than 70 watts, then we set the fan switch to on. Beautiful. Let's continue. Pressing the cog will let us add another statement. It says else if here, but unfortunately, it's just an if statement. This means that if you have several of these, the script will still test for each of the following if functions, even if your first criteria are met. Like I said, the implementation is limited in Domoticz. We will still get what we want, but we'll have to be more specific in each statement. So in the next if statement, we will have to define between what power draws we want the fans to be off. So add a Boolean piece and then a couple of comparison pieces into that. And then define your demands. So we want the fans to be off between 70 watts down to about 12 watts. Okay, now we have an on and off segment. We want another on segment for the Nintendo Switch and another off segment for when everything is off. So let's repeat most things we already did. We need a new if statement, a Boolean piece, and a couple of comparison pieces. You can actually duplicate entire blocks just like so, and then just change the variables. Easy peasy, lemon something something. Let's turn the fans on between 12 watts and 9 watts. And finally, we want the fans off when everything is off. So go ahead and add another if statement and a single comparison piece and set the fans to off under 9 watts. And that's it. If we start the PS5 now, the fans will turn on automatically. And if we turn off the PS5, the fans will turn off automatically. The same goes for the Nintendo Switch. The only thing to consider with the Switch is that if you want to play while the console is charging, you'd have to turn the fans on manually. But that's the beauty of this setup. Automated with possibility of manual override. Hope you enjoyed this episode and that you're on your way to install some fans in your media furniture as we speak. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine is also going to do this, and we might just film that process for you if you're interested. Anyway, this is Hootie Style Channel, and I'll be seeing you in the next episode.